Hey, Johnny, I got to make a short. Yesterday is today now. I got the Weber on here on the old Frankenstein Ford. What a nightmare. This is what was on it. The one barrel YFA 42.82 millimeter hole. Just a one barrel. One holer, okay? That's how the manifold is set up. For a 4-barrel manifold is $750, and you can get a like 360 on up 4 barrels. I'm not paying $750 for a freaking Offenhauser manifold on a $400 truck. So this is the Weber that is for this 2.3 liter Rat Rod Ranger ripping motor. And this is a 4.9. But it theoretically should work, but I had to use an adapter. Transdap. Be aware, it's not none of these. I'll show you with the camera real quick. I don't want to run out of time. But Transdap, they adapt stuff. Some stuff is right. This adapter to go right down there on the bottom, here where these bolts are, goes from here. See, mine only takes 2 holes, but it's got 4 holes. It was made for a Chevy 1-barrel 4-hole bolt pattern to a Chevy 2-barrel conversion back from the 70s, so you could put a 2-barrel on it. But they figured out, while the holes are a little bigger when we CNC this one we already got from 30 years ago, and it'll fit on the Ford 300. And then we take the holes up here and waller them out a little bit different. And instead of the Chevy 2-barrel, it'll fit a freaking Weber 2-barrel. Okay, that's how they do stuff. And it was $60. You know, it's never going to be right when you use an adapter. But then they set the Chevy 2-hole freaking gasket with it. And it's not even close to the right gasket. So, yeah. And I fought this thing 8.5 hours to change carburetors. I could have changed the whole manifold and put a 4-barrel on this thing if I had the stuff laying here. Yeah, I didn't want to spend $1,400 on a $400 pickup in 3.5, 4 hours. And it's still not running right. The gasket, the Chevy gasket instead of the Weber gasket is not correct. It's sucking air, and I emergency use only because it's my daily driver and I want to drive out and don't want to drive my Lincoln out in the dirt just to work. I smeared a little silicone around, and at some reason, I have a mechanical high-performance distributor on here. For some reason, when I change the carburetor, it changes the timing somehow, and there's no vacuum. But it was knocking and clattering and detonating, so I had to back the timing off from 2 degrees on idle, basically down to 0. But it should start. The choke ain't right yet. I can't do nothing until I get the gaskets I had ordered. But check this out. Button on. Yeah, the water temp gauge says 160, so it's 25 degrees hot. All right, you got that? It will idle. When it's warmed up, it's idling at 1200, so I'm going to set the idle down. But the gasket's leaking air, watch. Now, don't do this if you have any sparks. Highly flammable carburetor and fuel injection cleaner. Listen, when I spray around where I silicone carry it, I slowed the air leak down a lot. Listen to this engine speed up. You hear that? Don't do that if you have bad spark plug wires or a hot engine. This shit will start an engine fire. So I do not recommend that. I'm just doing that to show you. And see how it's sped up? It's drawn air past the gasket and this little line of silicone carny. You can't silicone a carburetor. I'm waiting for the gaskets. I had to order them from Ohio, the correct gaskets and not the shitty ones. But other than that, it's kind of working. I've got it kind of tuned, and yeah, it runs like ass, but it idles. And like I said, it threw the timing off for some reason. But it's running, I can drive it to work, and it starts. So that's cool. But yeah, if you think you got vacuum leaks around your carburetor gaskets, that's how you can do it. But fucking don't do what I'm doing. Oh, I'm already at 5.5 minutes, so. Yeah, I gotta idle set the idle down. There's no, I got the idler mixture screw should be at 2 turns out or less, and being just drawing air, I do not want this engine to run lean. Run it rich and carbon to follow the plugs. Run the engine lean, you'll burn holes in your piston. It'll run like hell, but it runs so hot when you're lean, it burns holes in pistons and destroys stuff. I got it, instead of max of 2 screw turns out on the idle air mixture screw, I got it about 6. And it's still idling. And it'll speed up. I'll just have to cut this video if you want to watch it. But yeah, and for some reason, it changed the timing on my distributor. That is just mechanical. There's no vacuum, but changing the carburetor changed something. But yeah, there you go. I do not recommend doing that spray unless you know what you're doing, all right? But yeah, I think it's gonna have more Weibos than the 1 burl. I don't know how much, if it'll be enough to pull that camper up over the hills at 50 to 55 instead of 40. But once I get the gaskets in, hopefully by this weekend, then I'll peel all the silicone carney off, change the gaskets, then I can tune everything when I don't have any vacuum leaks. And the worst vacuum leak you can ever have is right at the bottom of your carburetor. Oh yeah, and that's a washable, not canned-in air filter. That's about the only size you can find and buy cheap for a K&N carburetor. But other than that, the carburetor, they're easy to work on, they're easy to adjust when everything's right, you know what you're doing. There's only like 5 screws to play with, and they're really reliable. But yeah, beware of those adapters. You're going to have to do some working on them. All right, cool. Let's shut it off, because I need to set the idle down. We're not even up, if it says 210 here. Oh, we're up to operating temperature. It says 210, so it's 185. I'm going to shut it off, see if it runs off. No run on, and I said I had to frickin' back the timing back. It was just clattered and sounded like a major bad lifter, but it was hopping around cylinder to cylinder. If you got a clatter idling and you can sit there and listen to it and it's doing that on idle, and it goes from one cylinder to another cylinder to another cylinder, your timing's too fast, and that's detonating. That's pre-ignition detonating inside that cylinder, and you do not want that. That will blow pistons apart, okay? So I had to back it off. I think I'm at 0. I don't know why. It's just, this Frankenstein thing's weird. But it's running. Let's turn the key on. Hit the race car start button that somebody put in. Look at that. Yeah, and it's sucking air like a big dog. Just imagine how it's going to run when I get my gaskets in. It got it sucking air like a big dog. But yeah, peace. Love, have a heart, God's bless. Hope I learned you something. Yeah, 50% of these adapters work if you clean them up and level them and check everything. And 50% are repurposed old ones like this. But at $60, all I need is the right gaskets now, and we're gonna see what happens. But I did mill the hole out because it was made smaller. I can't go too far. Alright, you get my drift. Yeah. I love this stuff. I gotta set the idle down, and it's a bitch to get to with the air cleaner on it. But yeah, I'll let you know when I get my gaskets and maybe show you how I pop it apart, or I'll just show you if it's running and tuning it or whatever. But yeah, it's getting me to working back, and it don't die or nothing. It just ain't right because it's sucking air like a big dog. All right, take care. Don't let stuff get you down. Tomorrow's always a new day, and always remember, even if today sucks, you want to see tomorrow. I'll explain that later. Even if today sucks, you want to see tomorrow, you better appreciate today. All right? I love you. Talk to you later. Peace, love, have a heart, have a heart. God's bless. Don't pray to God and your angels. Talk to God and your angels. Talk to Jesus. Praying don't do nothing. Talk to him. Get my drift? I'll explain why later. Ciao. I love you.